Hey, that's me, Aaron Murray from England. Back in 2018, I got to the point in life where work was just taking over. I needed a break, just for a little while anyway. So one night, I sat down at the computer and searched the net for ideas, places to go, things to do. I found an article online about a popular bike route in the US called the Trans-American Trail. This is a cycle route that connects the entire US from one side to the other. I thought to myself, you know what, let's do it. A few weeks later, I went out and bought an old touring bike and all the kit I would need for the trip. I was determined to do this and to do it well. Now around 2 months later, one night in July 2018, I landed at JFK Airport on the east coast of the US. From here, I assembled the bike outside the airport and started the journey. Somehow, over the next 103 days, I managed to cycle around 4,000 miles. The trip took me through 14 states, 4 time zones and around 75,000 feet of combined climbing, where I eventually hit my final destination, Santa Monica Pier, located on the west coast of LA. And all of this was done without any real planning or serious training. Now trust me when I tell you, those first few weeks, they were really hard. But with everything in life, the more you do something, the better you get. Those initial 20 miles a day, well, they soon turned into 40. And before I knew it, I was doing 80 miles a day with ease. As the weeks passed by, I was getting faster, getting stronger, and eventually no amount of punctures, steep hills, bad traffic or bad weather could stop me. Now there's a reason I'm telling you all of this. I know it might sound a little cliche, but taking a journey like this, where you're in full control of yourself every day to keep on moving forwards no matter what, for me it flicked on a switch. It made me feel more alive than I have ever felt before. And when I finally hit that sandy beach in LA, it was by far the greatest accomplishment I have ever done. So it's been a little over a year now since I completed the bike ride across America, and I'm back in that work cycle again. I need to get out there, and I need to plan the next trip. But this one has to be at least twice as big. So, after searching around the internet for places to go, most of the results that come back are your typical tourist hotspots. This is not what I'm after. I want adventure, a challenge, the unknown, not busy crowds and selfie sticks. After a little while, I started reading up on an article about Siberia. Now this is an area located in the eastern part of Russia and is absolutely massive. The only thing I know about Siberia at this point, it's cold, isolated, and apparently it's quite a challenge to get there. The more I read up on Russia, the more I like the idea of some type of trip. Just the sheer size of the whole place is mind-blowing, and the landscape looks immense. And even though Russia is relatively close to the UK compared to countries like China or Australia, we don't really hear a lot about the place unless we take the time to research. So that's what I did, and eventually I came across an article of a little known route that covers the entire width of the country. It's called the Trans-Siberian Highway, which stretches over 10,000 kilometers long from St. Petersburg in the west to Vladivostok in the east. This makes it one of the longest drivable routes on the planet. Now taking a look at the geography of Russia and the different types of terrain you're more than likely going to encounter along the way, as it's such a huge area, this can vary quite a bit. From huge forests for hundreds and hundreds of miles to wide open plains called steppes, as well as small isolated villages dotted along the way, with some being abandoned years ago. Basically modern day ghost towns. The route also passes through some truly breathtaking cities and major urban centres. Now according to Wikipedia, it states that on the 12th of August 2015, the Russian government finally announced that the highway was fully paved, making the route a lot more accessible. But, depending on the time of the year, navigating some parts of the highway can still become quite challenging. As the route covers such a large area of the Earth, you can expect to find Arctic and subarctic climates in the far north, to more moderate climates the further south you go. One section of the Trans-Siberian Highway comes quite close to the Mongolian border, so there is always the option of crossing into Mongolia at some point. Now this might not sound like it to you, but to me this ticks off everything I'm looking for in a trip. So for that reason, this is the one I'm going to go for. So that's the initial route, and now I need to figure out how I'm going to get there and back safely. Now I could take a bike and cycle the route, yeah, but that would mean using a tent, and if I'm honest with you, after lying in one for nearly 100 days back in America, I really want a lot more comfort this time round. With a tent, when you need to camp, you first have to find a safe spot, then unpack and set the whole thing up. Then you have to be careful of dangers through the night, like people or wild animals. And then, if there's a storm, you and all the kit get absolutely soaking wet. You then have the hassle of having to pack all the tent down the next morning and attach it all back to the bike, and trust me, after 3 months, it becomes a bit of a pain in the arse. That's why for this trip, I'm going to rule out camping with a tent and head towards kitting out a vehicle so I can have comforts such as heating and a nice comfortable bed. So this would only really leave me with two options, either a 4x4 or a van. Both of these vehicles would give me the space to create a comfortable living environment in the back, but if I do go with a van, there may be a slight little problem. The route I intend on travelling will have some pretty tough terrain, with some parts being unpaved roads, muddy tracks as well as the possibility of snow. This means I will more than likely need a vehicle with a 4-wheel drive system, so I don't get stuck and I can keep on moving through. Now if I do go with a van, yes there are some models with the option of 4-wheel drive, but they're pretty rare in the UK and super expensive. Also, bad weather, poorly maintained roads, myself as well as other drivers making mistakes, the chances of being involved in a crash are going to be pretty high, and with insurance cover maybe being a little dodgy when outside the EU, if I was to smash an expensive vehicle up to then find the insurance can't cover the costs, that would be pretty devastating. And finally, I simply don't want to buy anything too flashy that stands out like a sore thumb. This could attract thieves with the possibility of the vehicle being stolen. So after all them points, here are the 5 things I want in a vehicle for this trip. It has to be cheap and it needs to blend in. It has to have a good 4-wheel drive system. It needs to be reliable, and if it does break down, it should be a vehicle that is easy to fix at the side of the road with available parts. And finally, it has to have the space in the back for a good sized bed and room for all of my kit. After a good look around the net, I found a blog called Overland Way. It's about a couple who travel around the world in a Mitsubishi Delica. They had an article on why they used this vehicle, where they said it was the perfect van for them. So I did a little more research. Originally imported from Japan, these vehicles are basically a traditional 4x4 but with a conventional van body on top. The 4-wheel drive system has high and low ratio gears as well as differential locking. This should make it really good when it comes to going off-road. Most of the imported models in the UK come with a super reliable 2.8 litre turbo diesel engine, and because it's Japanese, they have a solid reputation for being reliable. Okay, so I know it sort of looks like a toaster with wheels, but there should be plenty of space inside to fit everything I need as well as the ability to get to places that are a little bit more off-grid. So for these reasons, this is the vehicle I'm going to be choosing for the trip. Now the standard van will no doubt be cool when it comes to normal roads and simple off-road tracks, but I'll be adding a few body modifications to increase performance on more challenging ground. I'll be installing some chunky off-road tyres, giving the van much better traction, a body lift for better ground clearance, as well as a roof-mounted LED light bar for extra visibility at night. I might even wrap the van to change the colour and add further body modifications later on. Regards the interior, I will convert the space to make a comfortable place to live with items such as a bed, wardrobe, storage, as well as an area to prepare and cook food. So, that's pretty much the initial plan for now. I have decided that I'm going to film every aspect of this journey. This will include all the planning that goes into making this trip happen, the entire build series of the van conversion, and finally, when everything is ready, every part of the journey from the day I leave my front door to arriving at the final destination. So if this sounds like something you would like to follow, please hit the subscribe button and hit the bell icon to receive notifications when I upload a new video. And if you like this video, please don't forget to give it a like and maybe a share. And finally, this whole trip, from all the conversion to filming and editing all of the videos, is and will be done completely by myself. If you'd like to support me, please check out my Patreon account in the video description, where supporters will get exclusive access to content. Thank you.